Good after, excuse me. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I had to get my grip right on holding that button as usual. So if there's ever any hesitation at the very beginning of my videos, just remember that's where it comes from. So anyway, I'll be fairly brief today. One thing I've noticed about these teachings, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It's just I want to make sure you guys know that I'm not just easily saying, "Oh, go ahead and read this whole entire chapter." That's not usually what I like to do. I'm much more one that usually sends out passages of scripture rather than entire chapters, because then I mean, it could be easily thought that, oh, well, I didn't really read it if I'm just taking a specific chapter, but that's not the case here. And I really didn't think that I would be sending you guys too many full chapters, but it's been happening a lot lately, and it's because I want you guys to see the whole context of what's going on. And in this case, it's interesting because the Israelites, were gonna um, enter enter a land. I believe it was, yeah, it's Canaan, and they, it's not. They're just afraid that everyone is going to overpower them because they're stronger than they are, so they're going to be destroyed or what have you. And but it's funny because if you look uh, at if you go back and look in Numbers 13, today is the focus is Numbers 14. But if you look in 13:27, they know it's prosperous and flowing with milk and honey, but they just don't want to be around a bunch of people that are stronger than they are because they're afraid they'll be destroyed or conquered. But and then eventually, though, the Lord left them. The Spirit had was not upon them at the very end of the chapter. It shows that. And so what I want to just share today is sometimes we miss out on great opportunities because we're afraid of something or we are just too hesitant. Now, we do have to be wise, and I had a situation just this past week, I believe it was, or actually, well, it was technically last week, but it was, about a week ago that a job was offered to me where I could work from home, and all I'd have to do is work for an hour. I think 1 week, or I don't know. I didn't even know because everything sounded too good to be true. It seemed to be totally fake. I went along with it for a little bit just to make sure that it was fake. Because I've been through this kinds of things before, but somebody had offered me a job. They had no knowledge of any of my prior working experience, and so to me that was a red flag in the first place. The people who, if you want me to respond, then at least make it related to the field of education because that was my last field, or that's the field that I've always worked in every time that I've been employed in my adult life. It was at a school. It's never been anywhere else. And so there wasn't any reason to believe this was legit. I did go along with it just for a little bit to test it out, and then I shut it down by blocking them. But they wanted to offer me the job details on WhatsApp, and I just this just seems too fishy. I probably should not have responded in the first place, but I had already had past experience that if this was sounded to be too good to be true, I knew how to get myself out of it, which I did. Sometimes things can be offered to us, and we just want to be wise. But when we act out of rejection, or in this case, in a sense, rebellion with God, it's not, it's disappointing to Him, and we have to remember what kind of things we might miss out on if we believe something is from Him. Now, there are times, not too long ago, I was offered a job in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is about a half hour from where I live, and I won't go into it too much here on video, but I have to deal with a lot of transportation issues. So I had accepted the job, and despite the fact that it was going to be a long commute, not necessarily straight rides to work every day. That's a long story. But I accepted it in faith because I didn't even have to interview for the job. They had seen my resume, and obviously this was an educational position, so they had seen my resume and thought that I'd be a good fit. But then after 2 days on the job, they decided to go in a different direction because I'm not, having cerebral palsy. I'm not able to deal with like toileting and assistance of that nature with students. So that was kind of disappointing. But sometimes we do have to act out in faith, and that was something that at the time I felt it was from the Lord. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't think that it. I think sometimes we're just put in bad situations because of the fall of man. And I think in this case it was just bad communication all around with and when I first got on the job for the day, the first part of the day, for the first day I worked there, I had never been there before, and they didn't even know where they were going to put me, so that was kind of a red flag there. But I got paid to just sit in a lobby for the day. But at the time, I had felt led to take the job. I don't know why I was put in that situation for 2 days, but whatever. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I was there for a very short purpose for a very specific reason. But when I pray, and when it feels when something seems to be led by God, He'll put you in situations where He needs you to be at the time. But sometimes we can act out of rebellion to Him, or lack of faith, and then we might miss out on something. And I think that's kind of a good illustration here of what happens with the Israelites, because they're in they're roaming around for 40 years. And I don't know how long it would have taken if they had not belly ached about things, or if they had had more faith. But 40 years is a long time, and the Lord showed Himself to be faithful and offered ways out of a situation. And sometimes obviously they didn't take it, so we have to be mindful of when we don't accept what is before us. We of course we have to weigh things, because not everything is from the Lord, but we can also miss out on a lot of great things. So I encourage you guys to read that. Again, I would read Numbers 14 for today. It would I don't know how many more full chapters I'm going to send out, but I want you guys to know that is thought out, and that's not something that I prefer to do. Like I said, I prefer to focus on specific passages, but hey, if this is the way the Lord leads, then this is this is really His computer. These are His resources that I'm using that are just on loan to me. So anyway, God bless you all, and thank you for watching, and love you guys.